So this is a screencast for week 11, meeting 2, where we reviewed some queries. We practiced the 4 basic ones: the select, the update, the insert, and the delete. And then we took the script that we did on Tuesday and added some functionality to it. So that led to our homework assignment, which I'm sure everyone wants to hear. So here's crud.php. This is the script that we just did on Thursday, the completed version, and I have it right now. I'll replicate it in MAMP on my computer, but basically it's going to be one script, one table. I'll go to my browser here and go make sure I have this table, localhost, and I'm going to do php myadmin. And it can't be reached because let me make sure it's on. There we go. So we're perfect because it's probably one of the other ports. So I'm going to go ahead and try that port, and we'll do php myadmin. And when that loads, we'll make sure we have a contact table in our database test with root and root. So I'm going to create a database called test just so it replicates what we did in class. My collation will be the same thing I always do, Latin, Swedish, CI. And I'm going to create 2 fields. This will be called actually contacts. And we'll do 2 fields, and we'll just replicate exactly what we did in class. So here's index primary, auto increment. There we go with that, and then we'll do full name. So one silly little table here that's varchar 255, and now we're going to hit save, and at the same time I'm going to take our crud script right here and just save it into my application. So we'll go to applications, find that MAMP install, similar to what we do in class. Go into the htdocs folder and save that into htdocs. Save. Okay, there's already one in there, but I don't care. I'm going to go ahead and crud it out. So now what I can do is go into that script and take a good look. Crud.php. And we've got an error, it looks like. Let's just make sure that we have probably the password here. So I'm going to call this root. MAMP's a little different. There we go. So now I can go ahead and enter Chris Secor. And we see Chris there. And I can enter Kevin Atkins. Got it. John Smith. Got it. And I can go ahead and delete Chris. And you see that section is gone. I'm out. Now I can do edit. Call him Mr. Kevin Atkins. And now we have that. So our edit functionality, our delete, our insertion, all of it looks great. Next thing to do is to go over it and then go over the homework. So what we did was to create the form, of course, but we made sure that we had a block for each part of the code. Now, remember what CRUD is? It's create, read, update, and delete. The read is the ability to read the results. So when I do Deborah Smith, I get Deborah Smith there. That's because the insertion occurs above this readout. This is all PHP from SQL. So let's go back to our script. Go back to CRUD. Let me shut down a few things. I got a lot of stuff going on. Anyway, so let's talk about the select. We're basically doing the DBH prepare again. We're selecting ID, full name from contacts. Then we execute. And now we have this while loop. As long as a row is equal to, as long as there are rows inside our database, what we're going to do is make a variable that equals each record, and then access each record by using the variable row with the blocks and then the full name. That's because this is an array. It's got the blocks. And similarly, if I were to do 0, that would be ID. And if I were to do 1, it would be full name, because this is 0 and this is 1 in the array. So what I'm doing is echoing out the names so the user can see what name he might be deleting or editing. And then I have HTML. I've got a hyperlink, and I have a query string that communicates which record the user would like to delete. I have a little bit of JavaScript here that says on click, let's confirm, are you sure you want to delete whoever it is? And then what the user sees is delete. So let's look at that again. If I click on delete John Smith, it says, are you sure you want to delete John Smith? That's because the word delete here is this right here. The confirm box here is literally this whole section, and this is the variable that equals John Smith. So if I were to delete Deborah Smith, it would be the same thing here. So I'm basically confirming, we're going to go ahead and close this out, I'm going to confirm with the user that whether they want to delete the right person. Okay, so I'm going to cancel this and back out. So that's a little bit of JavaScript, which I'm not too concerned of with this course, but you can see where there might be some danger of someone deleting the wrong thing if that were not in there. Okay, so that is the read. Let's talk about the delete. Well, the delete has, we'll delete John Smith here, and you'll see the delete has question mark delete ID equals 3. I'm passing the record, the primary key, the ID of the record in which I'd like to delete. And how I do that is right here. I just simply append the row ID to this delete ID that's fixed. And because it says delete ID, I'll know that the user intends to delete. The user, when he clicks this, clearly says that they want to delete record 4. Okay, so as I go back, let's see how that record gets deleted. I have this right here. It's nothing more than the get method. This is that. So the value, delete ID, which equals get delete ID, gets this value. It's nothing more than get method that we've already done several times. Okay, so that said, this variable, if it has value right here, what we're going to do is delete from contacts where ID equals delete ID and then execute it. Done. That person disappears. Okay, let's talk about the insert. Well, the insert comes from the traditional form, which is right here. Okay, and I can type in something like Kevin Smith. Hit submit. There's Kevin Smith. How did that happen? Well, we've got our form, an input type full name, and a submit. If post submit is equal to submit, and there is no ID to update, which I'll explain in a minute, all we're going to do is insert into contacts full name, the value's full name. So if you're new to this course and you're new to this content, this is SQL and the rest is PHP. PHP simply acts as a conduit to call these queries on the database. It prepares a statement and then executes them. This right here is a character that is an instance of the object DBH, which actually equals our connection. So this is basically a cell phone connection to the database. I want you to think of that as such. So let's talk about the editing functionality. If I click Edit on Kevin Smith, you'll see that Edit ID equals 5. Okay, well, let's follow the ball. If Edit ID, right here, if that's set, let's figure out what the full name is of that record. And let's put it in a variable. So what we're doing here is finding out the full name of that person that is being edited. Because it's only one record, we only want a row. We don't want a while loop. And then once we extract that value, we can create a variable that equals that. And what we're going to do is we're going to put the value inside our value tag in the HTML. And we're going to put the edit ID inside the form. So let's look at our source code right now. If I look at our source code of our form right now, we're editing Kevin Smith, okay? Notice the hidden field here, ID to update. It's the same thing we did when we did the cms.php. Also notice the value is Kevin Smith right here. Well, let's try Kevin Atkins. Now I've just clicked edit here, edit ID is 2. I put 2 here, and Mr. Kevin Atkins is right there. Okay, so what if I, Mr. Kevin, we're going to give you a middle name G. What if I do that editing right here? How did it pass? How did we get that far? Well, if I know that this input ID to update has a value, again, we'll do Kevin Atkins, and we'll replace the G again. We'll hit submit. If I know there's a value in here, which there is when I click edit, or Kevin Smith, then I can run a condition that will write an update statement. So what is that update statement? It's right here. If ID to update, if that exists, and that's called from the post field here. Remember the post method is used on the form. So all I have to do is update context, set full name to equal the new full name, where the ID is the ID. And that comes from the hidden field, and this comes from the form. So that, in a nutshell, is the Crud applications in one script, something you can study. I tried to make it simple. But the homework on this is the next section. We'll go to week 11, and your job is to add an email field and a telephone field to our contacts DB in class. Well, the first thing you would do is go into structure here and add your fields after full name. So you're going to add the fields right here. You probably add 2 fields, and remember we're asking for email and telephone. Both varchar would be perfect for that. And then basically you're going to go into each section. First thing you're going to have to do is create 2 new text fields here. And once you do, you can add, the display can still retain full name. The edit can be full name too. That's all I care about. Actually, no, the edit right here should be something like email and phone. So, assuming that you understand that that's your table fields. So, the point is, though, that when you're doing these things, this would be right here, would be because this is the edit statement, email and phone. But once you do that, you're going to have to fill the value of those fields with a variable right here. So that's one of the steps. The other step is to, on the insert, make sure that all the fields are in here and the values are in here. So you're going to have to go into where you see things specific to the current application, like full name, and add email and phone. But it's in 4 sections, so you're going to want to hit, you won't have to worry about this. You would have to worry about the insert and then the edit, but other than the form. So that's about it. It wouldn't take too long. Anyway, any questions on that, please don't hesitate to reach out.